Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Teen Titans Go to the movies. I think like most people who watch Cartoon Network, I am a little sick of Teen Titans Go, and when I heard there was a movie, I was not exactly thrilled about the idea that they did get a movie. It was kind of like, okay, not only do they take over the entire schedule, but they also get to have a movie as well. And I know this show is very popular, and I get that it is popular outside of the demographic of people who make YouTube videos about cartoons on Cartoon Network. I think there was a lot going in that I was like not too positive about. I even made a video called Why Does Teen Titans Go Get a Movie? Is that Teen Titans Go just does not give a shit. So, and I will say, I used to watch Teen Titans Go when it started. I thought it was kind of an interesting idea. Like, I never thought it would last and become a huge hit and become like what it is now. I thought it'd be like a short little thing. They were kind of funny, and that was it. And then it sort of just like kind of went off into like sort of weird, but also sort of stupid and sort of not interesting to me at all. And I ended up like not watching it after a while. But I did like the inventiveness of it, how it would sometimes switch art styles almost at random, how it would actually have some kind of funny bits and funny jokes in it. Its free willingness to reference things from DC in ways that like no other comic book property even tries or has the balls to do. Just like jokes, changing art styles from the comic book art style sometimes to the Teen Titans art style. Sometimes they'll make jokes about the original or the other Teen Titans animated show. They'll just do whatever they want to do. And I think that can be a lot of fun. This movie really gets that. In fact, this movie is almost like a typical kind of Teen Titans Go episode, like a really good Teen Titans Go episode. Like, I think a lot of animated shows that become movies, they go, okay, now that we have a movie, we got to spend a ton of money, we got to have all this crazy stuff, or this has got to be a pinnacle of the whole show, or it's got to be a creative high mark. I don't necessarily think this is like a new creative high for Teen Titans Go or anything. I think it's better as just sort of like a really good kind of average kind of episode. It just reminds you of what is good about Teen Titans Go. It reminds you what, if you ever liked the show, what you did like about the show. And that's honestly the best thing these kind of movies should be. It should make you go, oh hey, maybe I should actually watch Teen Titans Go again and give it a chance because I had a good time with this movie. And regardless of whether it was worthy or not or whatever, I think that's actually a pretty cool thing to do for a TV show that then becomes a movie. Because most of the time it's more about the big epicness of it, and Teen Titans Go doesn't really have that. In fact, I've never seen a movie that needs to almost justify its own existence so much within its own movie, because the whole idea of this film is Robin wants to have a movie about him, but also really about him and the Teen Titans. And it keeps bringing up that like all these superheroes like all have movie deals, or all the DC heroes and all have movies about them, and Robin doesn't. Like, most people know who Robin is and so forth. He's kind of a household name, but like no one actually wants to make a movie about him, even though I think DC's actually had a couple Robin movies in development, but I don't know what happened to any of them. But it's almost like a comment on superheroes and movies in general, and it's not just like, hey, there's a lot of superhero movies, which it kind of does that also, but the idea that like all you care about is them making the movies. Like, the comics industry isn't in a great place right now, despite the fact that we have more comic book movies than we've ever had. Like, it's a booming industry in terms of like movies being shown to the public and the public seeing superhero movies on the big screen, but it's not so much on the physical comics. And that's kind of an interesting kind of thing with this movie, is like they're bringing up like all these heroes like left their cities they're going to protect to be in LA to be in these movies, and it's like this kind of meta interesting thing going on throughout it. And the fact that the Teen Titans, like, they bring up, oh, we should have a movie, or they should be his arch nemesis or something. People say, oh, they're goofballs, they're goofy, they can't be in a superhero thing, or that's not what a traditional superhero is. And it feels like it's like almost fighting like the whole perception of the show, because as someone who made that video where I basically say, is that Teen Titans Go just does not give a shit. Like, seriously think about it. The thing with that quote is that, like, I think that's still true even if you like a show. They don't really give a shit. They're just like, hey, we're Teen Titans Go, we do what we want, we're wacky, we're crazy. If we want to have a little stop motion short in the middle of our movie, we're just gonna let it happen. This sort of reminds me, and even though it's based on a show that I've already seen and so forth, the kind of free-willing 7-year-old boy-ness of this sort of reminds me of something like Captain Underpants. I think Captain Underpants worked better as a whole. This definitely gets that vibe, and I saw it with an audience who was just like, so all the kids were just so excited for it, and they were like so pumped for this movie, and it kind of like rubbed off on me a little bit, just that amazing enthusiasm. But I think much like most 7-year-olds, this actually gets like super annoying after a while. It brings up jokes. The Green Lantern joke is a little like tired at this point. Like bringing up certain superhero things just feel a little lame. They'll reintroduce, ongoing jokes like Robin's baby hands or something go on far too often. That gets like really boring, and you're just sitting there like, oh, okay, all right, I got it the first time. Even though I still like quite like this film, it has like an awesome soundtrack. Lil Yachty wrote a rap song for the Teen Titans, which they're all really good at, and I totally want to be nominated for Best Original Song just because that would be funny. I'm sure most of the songs in this are way better than like most of what's going to get nominated anyway. Their motivational song was really funny. I mean, they had a lot of like good jokes that weren't just like, oh, that's over the heads of the kids because they don't know what sex is, but some actual pretty funny jokes in this. How 7-year-old boy and wacky it is, I think sort of definitely works for it, and it reminds me of something like Lego Batman, but Lego Batman doesn't really work on as many meta levels as Teen Titans Go to the Movies does. It's almost like, all these big superheroes get movies despite the fact that they have a hugely popular cartoon show and a previous hugely popular cartoon show and then like a live action thing. They're this big thing, but like they're like don't fit into what the perception of a superhero movie is. And I sort of find that kind of an interesting idea, the whole idea of these superheroes making movies. And I do think it's like what the public thinks. They're so interested in the movies, they're not interested in the source material at all. Almost that is like negligible, really. Like you're not going to pick up the next issue of Superman, but oh hey, you're going to watch that movie. And I think that speaks to like how we care about superheroes and how we perceive superheroes in the modern age and how much we're willing to invest in those sort of things, both financially, emotionally, and physically, or not physically maybe. I do think this shows the best of what Teen Titans Go can do, between the music and the cameos and the acting, and it is a little too focused on Robin. I know a lot of Teen Titans Go stuff was, but it felt like it wasn't as evenly spread out, frankly, which I think they could have done a better job at. There are some parts that are actually laugh out loud, like really hilariously funny, and it is good at like giving you like a really fun, amazing, good time. I think that's one of the things that Teen Titans Go it's probably going to do very well because your kids are already into the show. They'll be so into it. And if you're into DC, there's so many weird DC references. I'm sure you'd be really into it, including like Nicolas Cage's Superman, and then Nicolas Cage's son, who I believe is called Kal-El, ends up playing young Bruce Wayne, which is sort of weird, but okay. Teen Titans Go to the Movies is the kind of interesting, odd, kind of satirical take on superhero things, which I think makes it like quite unique and different and makes it sort of a worthwhile thing. I like that DC can go dark and gritty and goofy and silly, and like the Teen Titans are basically the new Looney Tunes or something for this generation, which is fucking weird if you ask me, but that's just like how it is now, I guess. So the Teen Titans Go movie feels like so much more organic in what it's doing rather than like in the Ninjago movie or other animated films. It never felt as uniquely, purely Teen Titans as it did in this movie. Like it very much like feels like this is almost how they always are, 200 plus episodes. I think it's like a really good time at the movies. I think it's something that like you have to be ready for. If you don't know or don't care who the Teen Titans are, don't have a kid who's into it, aren't into animation, I wouldn't necessarily think this movie is going to turn you around, but if you were able to like walk by at the right moment, it might make you chuckle more than you ever thought it would, which I think is something Teen Titans Go maybe doesn't get enough credit for, frankly. Sure, I would have liked an Adventure Time movie in 2013 or something rather than what we got, but what we got was like a pretty cheap 2D animated film. It only cost about $10 million. It's a lot cheaper than like the Ninjago thing or the Powerpuff Girls, frankly. I really did have a good time with this. I'm sort of reserved about it because I don't want to be like too overbearing with it because maybe I'll rewatch it and not like it. It reminded me of what I really thought was fun about the Teen Titans Go show. It was like doing all these different character designs, this willingness to like break from continuity at will if we want to, of doing crazy cartoony things, but also like sort of having real life stakes to it. I still prefer the original Teen Titans show, really, but I think this like just really was a lot of fun, and I was surprised how many times I was just like gut-bustingly laughing at what was going on, because it is fun. It is weird that DC is like, will let this happen at the same time as their dark gritty thing, but it goes to show, I think, a more diversity in the DC universe, especially because the animated things get to just live on their own plane of existence. And even though this is only the second theatrically released animated DC film since Mask of the Phantasm, apparently, or at least giving a wide release, it is a little weird, certainly, that Teen Titans Go never got their own like serious movie or something, but I think Teen Titans Go to the Movies kind of addresses all of that. I kind of like, while I was watching it, felt a little like bad for bashing it, not getting it supposedly, and just getting sick of it and claiming, is that Teen Titans Go just does not give a shit like I did before. I think while watching Teen Titans Go to the Movies, because it is trying to justify itself, because Robin is trying to have an adversary to take him more seriously, and I think the movie's almost like, are you going to take us seriously now like we have a movie, this thing has arrived. Teen Titans Go, it is a real thing. It might have been a corporately approved kind of big property kind of a show, but now it's a movie. And I think too, its plus is that it's a cheap animated film, that it just really tries to be a more expensive episode of it. And I think that was the very smart thing, but the directors who are normally producers on it, Peter Rita, Mikhail, and Aaron Harvath, like, it just feels like another episode. It would go in seamlessly with the show, but it goes in seamlessly, probably with one of the better things the show's ever produced, or at least I'm not an expert in it, but from what I know of it. But I think that like loosens up what superheroes can do and show you there's more of a diversity in that. And as I guess this is a big animated superhero year with this and the Spider-Man movie coming out in the same year, it shows you the willingness to change the superhero genre, to do something different with it. And even though Teen Titans Go has done that before, frankly, because the show's been around for a while, I think Teen Titans Go to the movie does that, but also pushes it by saying something ultimately about superhero movies and how we perceive that culture and how we perceive the seriousness of it, and how we care about them, but also don't actually read the comics, and we might not really know one thing from Adam, but we're still so excited for them and what they're doing and everything like that. Teen Titans Go gets that it is a silly comedy. It gets it can play within the DC world. It gets it can bounce all over the place. In some ways it does that better than Lego Batman. I like Lego Batman more. I don't really get why Will Arnett is a voice in this. That's just confusing voice wise. Like, hey, Will Arnett's great, but it's like there's really no reason to have him as Slade in this. And the whole Slade thing is kind of funny. I found this film actually very decently entertaining. I would hope people can maybe get over their Teen Titans Go hate and stuff for a weekend and support this, not just because it's 2D, but just because I had a good time in the theater, and I hope other people will have good times in the theater too. Teen Titans Go kind of encourages you to go to the movies because you're gonna have a fun time with it. It's fun to see a movie that almost is following a plot structure, but also is bouncing all over the place, and it's like, oh, what if we do this? What if we do this joke? What if we do this kind of animation? What if we have a fart joke? What if we do this song again? Like this whole extended like Lion King parody. It's like, well, what is that even really doing? But we're putting it in there. And I noticed this film does a lot of stuff like that. It's messy, but it's not. It's stupid and goofy, but it's very purposeful and like understands its goofiness, understands its characters are like that. And I think that's like a really awesome thing to watch with Teen Titans Go to the movies. And this is the kind of fun movie event. There's no like DC summer movie this year, and this is a fine movie to sink your teeth into. I don't know if I'm fully like down with the Teen Titans Go TV show or anything like that, but watching this sort of rehabbed my whole image of Teen Titans Go and what exactly it's doing. Sort of makes me want to go back and watch Teen Titans Go because I had such a fun time at the movies with these guys. It really much gets the entertainingness of doing a film like this, almost in a classic like let's put on a show type of way, but almost more manic. Like you accidentally fell into a huge pound of cocaine is sort of like what Teen Titans Go is and always has been, and this doesn't shy away from it. Teen Titans Go has always been like, we're just doing this and fuck it, I don't care. And like that, I think, is the spirit that not enough animated films really have right now, and in general a lot of films don't either. But I think with animated films, everything's so precise and stuff. This felt like they're like, let's go off on our goofy X dimension, and if you don't like it, who cares? And I think this made me actually sort of care about Teen Titans Go and encouraged on what they're doing, and kind of reevaluating for me personally what they're doing that was kind of so cool and so fun in the first place. And I think if they can all be as inspired as this, I would probably be a fan of watching this with my daughter or something. As of right now, I don't know if I will ever really watch the show, but I'm definitely high on the event of this whole thing and kind of had a really good time at the movies with it. That's really what Teen Titans Go, I guess, was ultimately trying to do, is appease the fans and get you to, be laughing more than you ever thought you would at a movie that you expected to probably give a much worse review to. Teen Titans Go is a really fun, traditionally animated DC film, and it kind of comes in and surprises you at how much fun you're having. It might not surprise you if you've seen the show before, but you'll be surprised at how much it's saying about superhero movies, how much it's saying about Hollywood, and how much it's saying about the kind of cultural relevancy of its own characters. It's quite an interesting film, and I think it's the kind of movie that makes you kind of surprised that postmodernism has pushed capitalism in such a weird way that we've actually wound up with something like Teen Titans Go, and that you're enjoying it in the theater despite how much of Cartoon Network's schedule it's eaten up. So if you have seen Teen Titans Go to the movies and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to. Is that Teen Titans Go just does not give a shit.